Good afternoon, Bison fans, and welcome to our Bucknell Volleyball virtual season preview show. My name is Todd Newcomb, and I'm joined today by Maisha Kelly, our Senior Associate AD for Development, and we want to take this opportunity to thank Giant for sponsoring this year's season preview series. Giant is a tremendous partner with Bison Athletics. We thank them for all that they do. So we've got a great lineup for you today, featuring head coach Tyler Hagstrom and three of our current players, Delaney Lewis, Angela Peroni, and Kelsey O'Loughlin. And it's time now to welcome in the head coach of the Bison, Tyler Hagstrom.
Hello, Todd and Maisha. How are you?
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
So Tyler was named the head coach of the program almost a year ago today, actually. And he came to us after spending 4 years at Princeton as an assistant coach and the team's recruiting coordinator. Prior to his time at Princeton, he was an assistant at Grand Canyon and also at UC Irvine. He was a 2007 graduate of California Baptist University, where he had the privilege to lead his team to 3 NAIA national championships as the libero, and he set the school's single-season record for digs in 2005. Tyler, we're going to set the stage with a few questions from Maisha about your program's return to play.
Okay.
Tyler, how's it going? Thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Before we jump into return to play, can you share with us personally, how much are you looking forward to taking the court for the first time as the Bison volleyball head coach?
Very, very excited. Obviously, I think it's been just about 1 full year since I was hired. And obviously the years wasn't what was anticipated, but everyone is around the country has to deal with it. And I think just the idea that we have the opportunity to play is really exciting for myself. We were able to train in the fall. We've been able to train with the team this spring, and just seeing how excited they are on the court when we're there and the hard work that they've been putting in makes me really excited just to, allow them to compete and let's play someone finally. And as a team, we watched Colgate versus Army on Friday. And that also just pumped us up because we're watching 2 teams in our conference, whereas in the fall, some other conferences played. And it's nice to watch, but it's something about watching teams within your conference that you're going to play and you're like, okay, this is starting to feel real. And it was really exciting. So I think the team is really excited to get back on the court and play.
Great. Well, we know that there's been a lot of preparation that's gone into play, just getting to this point. But from the health and safety standpoint, what is it that the staff and the student athletes are having to do, the new protocols that you're having to abide by daily just to be able to play in this environment?
Right. So obviously, as student athletes and as us as staff, there's things that we have to do just for the school. But when it comes to the volleyball team, there's just a lot of little things that they've had to get used to, and I feel like they've done a nice job just following. We just say follow protocol. Let's do a good job of that. And the locker room, they can't all be there in the same time, and they have to take turns going in. When we're in the gym, we're hand sanitizing every time we get a drink. We're spread out for water. We're sanitizing balls. They're practicing with masks, and we'll be competing with the masks, so they've had to get used to that. And sometimes, we've had some really long rallies, and they can be pretty winded, but I feel like they've done a nice job of once again following the protocol. Like, okay, we're practicing with masks on, and let's keep them up. So I think they've been doing a good job of that. And then lastly, I think what we've all been getting used to is Zoom meetings. And so individual meetings, team meetings, we've been doing remotely through Zoom. And that's just something that I think the whole country is very good at using Zoom now.
For sure. It's even my 7-year-old can say Zoom. But in addition to how things look differently, how the players certainly will be dressed and the protocols that you're doing, the Patriot League season is going to look different. And so what input did you and your peers within the Patriot League as head coaches have when designing what's now a unique schedule for conference play, and even the conversation surrounding should someone have to pivot as a result of the environment?
Right. So the league was allowed us to be very active as coaches, and we talked about some different scheduling ideas and some things that we could do with that. It basically worked out where we're not playing everyone, and we're doing basically around half of conference, and we'll play 1 game Friday, 1 game Sunday, 1 at home, 1 at away. I think the league has also been great with working us with like, okay, if like you said, there's some positive cases and that team cannot play, what's the protocol? We don't have a lot of time to make up matches. We don't have like a weekend at the end of season where we can make things up. So what we've decided is that you have to play 50% of your matches to be eligible for the Patriot League championship. And so that was something that allowed each team the opportunity that, okay, if something goes wrong, if you play 50% of your matches, you can still compete in the playoffs. I think another thing that we talked about is not having a normally you would have a regular season champion, and we're not going to have that this year just because once again not everyone is playing everyone, so it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then the last thing is that I think everyone, including myself, is just really excited to play. So each conference has rules on how many, like the minimum amount of student athletes you need to compete. And we basically, as a conference, like, let's 6. You need 6 to play, and we'll play with 6. And so I think everyone wants to give the student athletes the best chance to compete that we can.
So we know that absence of a fall season, and so there has just been this new landscape of how the women in particular have had to respond to the absence of the season, the stop and go. What have you seen in the way of the physical and mental impact on the players, and how do you think that they've sort of shown their resolve through all of this?
Right. Yeah. Once again, I think it's been challenging for everyone, and definitely for the student athletes. I think the hard part is, okay, when is that chance? We're always waiting to see how things look the next week or how things look in a couple days. And so we always say we have to, be flexible. We have to adapt to what's going on and just be patient with everything. And hopefully if we can stay safe, then okay, we're putting ourselves in the best chance or best place to compete once we get there. I think as far as, I'm seeing from the team is they have stayed pretty positive. I think there is a pretty good culture within the team that they enjoy each other's company, and they're able to sort of keep each other motivated in a sense. They've still been able to go weightlift, which is nice. There's 3 allowed in the gym at a time, so they've been able to at least get some touches. But obviously, although there's been sacrifices that they've had to make, definitely, and I think that's sort of the whole school, right? We have to sacrifice our social life. We have to sacrifice a lot of things, and just to be able to play. And I think they have done a nice job of just understanding that and saying, we want to have a season, and okay, what do we need to do to make sure that we can accomplish that? So we've been really impressed with that sort of that resolve and that determination to allow us to compete.
So Tyler, this is a great opportunity for some of the Bison fans to get to know you a little better. So I've got a 2-part question for you in that regard. The first one is, what was it about Bucknell and the volleyball program here that made this the right fit for you as you move along in your coaching career?
Right. I think one of the first things that stood out is definitely the balance between academics and athletics. I think you really can be a student athlete at Bucknell. And I think for me as a coach, the longer I've coached collegiately, the more I really like student athletes to pursue their academics like passionately as well as their athletics passionately. And so we talk about that on the course, being passionate about volleyball. We want them to love volleyball and to really enjoy practicing and competing and all that. But at the same time, like to be able to, study at the highest level and all the opportunities that they have at Bucknell to really pursue those academic passions is something that's really exciting. And I think that's something that I don't take for granted at all. And the fact that we have summers off, they can do internships, they can study abroad. I think there's just that perfect balance of competing at a high level, but also getting a great education. I think another thing is just talking to some assistant coaches that I've known throughout the years that I've coached at Bucknell. Obviously, whenever you move anywhere, you're always, okay, how's the culture, how's the the community? And the assistants that I spoke with were just like, oh, I loved it there. Like they just had nothing but nice things of their experience, and it just made me feel a lot more at ease to come into Bucknell when you hear people like, I really enjoyed my time there, and you're like, oh, okay. And through my interview process, I really like it here, and you're like, oh, people like it. So that was just really nice to hear when I was going through the interview process.
And the second part of the question, obviously Princeton, a little similar in terms of academic standards to Bucknell. So what were some of the things you've been able to take from your time at Princeton that you think have helped prepare you for the job here in terms of not just recruiting, but coaching student athletes who have a high academic interest as well?
Right. I think partially it is that similarity of that balance. And so, truth be told, there was a time where you're like, me as an athlete sometimes was like, okay, do I want to push myself as high as I can academically, or do I want to just go and play volleyball as much as I possibly can? And like I said, getting older, getting more mature, and understand that these student athletes that choose to go to these schools are so motivated, and they're really fun to work with because they have that motivation to do well academically, to do well athletically. And I think that's been great to work with those kids. I think at Princeton, the head coach I worked for, Sabrina, she was just awesome. I was the only the only full-time assistant really. So we really did everything together. And so I think that just prepared me, because she let me sort of be involved in every aspect of the program, from like we said, with recruiting. She was very trusting of me really early on. We'd go to tournaments and we were able to talk about things. And so having that trust really, really early, and that she trusted my opinion on things was just really comforting. And then also as time went on, like, okay, here's a little bit more responsibility. Here's a little bit more responsibility. And so with practice planning, with scouting reports, and then even some of the administrative duties, I feel like year in and year out, I just got a little bit more responsibility on my plate, and I was able to handle it because it was done each year I was there, which was nice.
So let's talk some volleyball right now. And
Okay.
season starts, and you don't have the typical approach to the season in a non-conference schedule, and you're right into conference play. What's
hmm
the setup there? What challenges that you see, and how you're preparing the team for jumping right in?
Yeah, I think challenge, this whole this whole year, it's like, can we implement what will become our system of play? And that's sort of for volleyball, it's our offensive, defensive systems. What do we want to do tactically against the other team? And so I think that part has been able to really implement something. It's been a little tough, and so we've had to sort of have that stop and go. And so I think we'll try to simplify things as much as we can, and say, let's just do these things really, really well, and we should put ourselves in a good spot to compete against every team in league. And so I think that's been tough, is just sort of that tactical sort of connection between the team, and just the connection between the players. Like, as a setter and attacker, if you're not with them that often, it's hard to really get a connection with them, and especially in certain positions, the connection's even more vital. And so, we're just going to go out there and give it our best shot. And I think, like I said, the team has been training hard, and I think that's something that we're gonna show out when we're playing, is that we're going to compete at a high level.
So we're going to stick with the team concept here, and you've answered some of this question, but maybe you can get a little bit more specific. What do you think Bison fans can expect to see from the 2021 Bucknell volleyball team? And a second part of that, Tyler, are there any individuals that have really impressed you in practice thus far on the team?
Right. So I think the thing that we want from our student athletes, and what we want to sort of represent as a team, is, like I said before, that passion. We want, when you're watching our team play, like, we have a lot of energy. We're getting after it on defense. We're working really hard, and we want to play a game that's fun to watch, and that's our goal. And I think if we're playing passionately, if we're cheering each other on, we're supportive of the team, I think that's really a lot of what we can control this season, because some of the other things is just, okay, we have to go out there and we have to compete. And so, once again, been really happy with the commitment from the team. Is once we're in the gym, they've worked really, really hard. And we initially were like, okay, we're going to do this week, and then this week we're going to start working on this. And then obviously that doesn't happen in that order. And once again, just being flexible, being adaptable to the way things are. It's like, okay, when we're back, this is what we're going to try to do. And I think something that, like I said, something that we're just really wanting to be cognizant of is, let's just be really passionate, let's be energetic, and let's have some fun out there. I think individually, I think it's sort of hard to tell now. Just, we haven't competed yet. I think as a whole, though, the team has been having healthy competition within practice. There's a lot of spots up for grabs as far as positionally, and I feel like the team has been really supportive of each other up until this point. They've been working hard. They've been competing against each other, but at the same time, there's been a positivity within each practice, which has been really nice. And so we'll see what these next couple of weeks bring as we start competing, and you need to put a starting lineup up there. But as of right now, I've been really happy with just the healthy competition for each spot, because we have a lot of good student athletes that are competing for their positions right now.
Tyler, we have a question from one of our viewers, and it's from Janine in Texas. And she wants to know, When looking to a leader on the court, what qualities have a direct impact on the cohesiveness of the team?
I think once it's game time, I think there's definitely staying calm under pressure, being a good communicator. Those are, really important just to being a leader in general. I think even before you get to the game time, it's like, do you lead by example in practice, in your daily life? Are you leading by example? Are you being a leader in every aspect of your life? And I think that's really important once it gets to game time. It's that trust. Okay. Like my leader, my captain, whoever that is, has demonstrated that they earned this position, and I think that's a big part of it, is like earning that role, earning that title. And so definitely it starts in the practice. Are you there early helping set up the nets? Are you late? Are you staying after to get extra repetitions? Are you doing those little things? Are you talking to your teammates about, hey, especially in these circumstances, there's a lot of, pressure. Like, are you going to go out? Are you going to stay in? And I think just leading by example is really important. And then I think just ultimately, once you get back on the court, as well as being that great communicator, is like understanding your teammates. How do you sort of motivate each of them? How do you get the best of them? I think that's really important as leaders, understanding the team and understanding each individual and how to get the best out of them. Because I think, once you're in those pressure situations, it's like, all right, this is what we need to do. We need to stay calm, and each person, this is how I know how to interact with them and to get the best out of them. So I think those things are really important.
So Tyler, one final question for you today, and I think it's a good one because oftentimes we really don't get to hear much about those behind the scenes. And in this case, it's your assistant coach, Caitlin, and I want you to talk about what she's meant to you and also to the team during your time transitioning in as the new head coach.
Right. So I think right off the bat, Caitlin was only here for a year before me, but when I got hired, you would have thought she had been here for 5-10 years. Like the things that she knew about the program, the things she knew about the university, the things administratively that she was aware of, just made my life really easy coming in. Okay, how do we do, the uniforms, or how do we, just like simple administrative duties she was really on top of. And I think that's been really helpful. Also recruiting, she's really taken initiative, and she's gone to some sort of like some workshops for recruiting, and then we've really put together something comprehensive, and she's been great as emailing kids. We have like recruiting boards. We have a lot of things that she sort of created that helps us sort of stay in communication with all of our student athletes that we're recruiting. And so I think recruiting has been one of the things that we've been able to do consistently throughout the year that we've been here, and she's really taken charge of that aspect of being the recruiting coordinator here at Bucknell. And then I think lastly is like, you can just tell that she cares about the student athletes, and I think that's been great. Is this has been a tough year, and so anything that she can do to help and make them feel in a more positive way, like, okay, let's have a home cooked meal during preseason, let's do certain things that we can get the team together. And I think she's been really great at just, all right, what do we do to sort of put the team in a more of a, like I said, more of a positive light right now, just because things can get a little hard. And I think having her and her positivity has been really awesome.
Well, Tyler, we wish you and your entire team, obviously, the best of luck this season. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys on that court behind us playing some volleyball real soon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
All right, it's time now to welcome our 3 current players to today's program. Welcome, ladies. So our first guest today. Oh, you're welcome. Our first guest today is senior outside hitter Delaney Lewis, who hails from Plano, Texas. Thanks for joining us, Delaney.
Of course, thank you for having me.
And my first question for you right off the bat is, how is your family doing back in Texas with all the tragedy and the power outages and the severe weather that's gone on there? Is everybody safe in your family and doing okay?
Yeah, thank you for asking. My parents are all good. We actually luckily managed to keep our power throughout this entire snowstorm down there, but they have definitely been struggling with the colder weather, and they feel a little bit more sorry for me being up here in Pennsylvania now that they know how it feels.
That's great to hear, Delaney. Thanks for sharing that. And thanks for being with us here this afternoon. I actually have a 2-part question for you. So first, how excited are you and your teammates to being back on the court and having an opportunity to play? And then the second part is, as a senior on the volleyball program, how do you think you've evolved during your time as a volleyball student athlete?
So for your first question, I am so beyond excited to have this opportunity to play again, especially because my junior year I was out with a knee injury, so I wasn't able to play with any of the teammates. So this is really exciting for me to, first of all, be able to play with the sophomores that I didn't get to play with last year. And then also we have a great freshman class. So I was really excited to be able to get to know those girls and play next to them. And then just being a senior player, I just wanted to finish off strong on my last season, and kind of just prove to myself that I can come back from that insane knee injury that I had and be able to come out on top of it. And then as far as your second question, I really feel like all of the girls that we've had on the team are very mentally tough. And so we've always kind of had that theme within our team. However, coming with Tyler as our new coach, he kind of has recreated our team environment, making us a little bit more structured. We kind of are more on the same page. So during practices early on in the season, he would break down some of the fundamental skills that we do and make sure that we're all doing it the same way. So basically that we're on the same page. And that's been really, really helpful. So just more compatible and that kind of thing. So I think that, change is a good thing, especially with this new coach coming in, giving us a new perspective and a new way that our team can function. And so I'm hoping that will reflect positively when we get back on the court.
So Delaney, I'm guessing you probably recognize the name of that viewer from Texas who asked Coach a question earlier.
Yep. Hi, Mom.
I do have a viewer question for you. And this one is from Courtney in Florida. Somebody else recognize that name. And she says, COVID-19 has been difficult for many individuals and their families. Did you find any blessings in disguise that you discovered about yourself during this time?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously COVID has been very mentally, physically, emotionally taxing on everybody. And I guess I just found that I was so grateful to have such a tight-knit team to rely on if I ever needed a shoulder to lean on. And then obviously, friends and family back home that were always there for me if I was having a rough day, because, you can wake up and have a good day, wake up, have a bad day, because this pandemic is so hard on everybody. So it was really just eye-opening to realize that I do have those people that are so close to me that I can rely on heavily if I'm struggling.
It's a good segue into my question. So certainly close-knit team, and perhaps that doesn't happen without last year's seniors and the seniors before them. So it's a sort of a trickle-down effect. What would you say that you were able to take away from last year's seniors and how it's impacted the way that you want to lead as a senior on the team this year?
Yeah, so the senior class was, I would consider them some of my best friends. So we were very, very close with them. So I guess that kind of made me feel like I needed to be just as close with the girls underneath me and make them feel, like they have a shoulder to lean on, because I was constantly leaning on the seniors above me. And there were 6 of them. So there were a lot of different personalities going on there. So sometimes it was kind of hard to make sure that we were all on the same page. So that's kind of what me and my fellow senior, Anna Carroll, we definitely try to talk about and over communicate about things to make sure that we're on the same page, so that we can lead the team in one direction rather than, coming from different perspectives. So yeah, I would just say that it's really important to us to be really close with all grades within our team.
So Delaney, what are the expectations that you have for not only yourself this season, but also for the team? And not to rush you at all, but do you have any plans for following graduation?
I am expecting my team to just stay as mentally tough as possible, because, having our season get canceled kind of, and then we'll have practice and then we won't have practice. It's been really hard. So every single person on our team has had to make huge sacrifices, making sure to keep our bubble small so that we don't see some of our friends that we usually would be seeing. And so I think that just everything that we've done so far, all the hard work that we've put in, will hopefully reflect when we get to play, even though we haven't practiced in a couple weeks. But I think that our hard work at the beginning of our preseason will just carry on to, hopefully the few days that we have of practice before we start to compete again. And then as of plans after I graduate, I'm looking to either go back to Dallas, or I'm also pursuing a few opportunities on the East Coast. So we'll see what happens with those. And I'm hoping that I end up in the best spot for me.
Well, all right. Well, I hope for your sake, if you do go back to Dallas, that there's no snow there
I know.
in
Me
Texas
too.
right now. All right. Well, Delaney, thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you the best of luck this season.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to turn our attention to Angela next, and Angela is a junior libero from Northbrook, Illinois. Welcome, Angela, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Angela, first question's for me, and it's really just about, as we keep using the words unusual, challenging, and all those, so hopefully come 2022, we'll be able to bury some of those words. But we did have an unusual break in between semesters. So we had a couple months there, and which is not traditional. So were you able to do during that time to keep up with your volleyball skill set, but also to continue to foster and facilitate that team bond to get ready for this season?
Right, so it was difficult over break since many of the gyms and volleyball clubs were closed where I live. I just tried to get my hands on a ball whenever I could and stepped up my workup program. And then once the courts did open back up, I was able to get in some lessons and play before coming back for preseason. And I think our team as a whole, it was different where everybody lives. Some people were able to play every day and some people weren't able to play at all. So we just, kept in constant communication, and we were just excited to come back and finally play.
This is always a fun question, and you get to answer it today. So can you give us your personal scouting report on this year's first-year class, and what should we expect from them this season?
Sure. So we have 4 hitters and a setter in this year's class, and they really all bring a new energy to the gym. And I'm really excited to finally be able to play a match with them and side by side with them. I think our hitters are really going to be aggressive this year. And, having a setter is always great. We have Kelsey, and then Sarah is our freshman setter. So I'm excited to see them play together and what they'll bring to the table.
What kind of advice have you offered them? I mean, this is, again, going back to Maisha's comment and words we don't want to have to use any longer, but this has definitely been an unusual circumstance for them to come in as a first-year student athlete.
Right. This year has been unusual for all of us. And really what I can say is go all in on what we're able to do, whether it's practicing, lifting, or even just watching film and taking notes. Just go all in and have fun, because it really does go by fast.
Our next question is from Susan in Maryland, and she wants to know, what's the most challenging part of having to wear a mask during practices?
A big part of the game is communication, communicating with each other on the court and off the court, and wearing a mask does make it difficult to do that, whether it's reading people's lips or even just being able to hear each other. So we have to adjust to that and be extra loud so the communication is still there, which I think we're able to do now after wearing masks for this long.
So Angela, we're going to close our time out with you today with another viewer question. And this one actually has 3 parts to it, so bear with me. The first part, and it's from Pat in Florida. And the first part is, if you could play 2 teams out of conference, so 2 non-conference opponents, which 2 teams would you pick?
Ooh, I would love to play a Big Ten team. I think that would be really fun, especially, Penn State right over here. We were able to watch one of their matches last season. So that would be really fun. And it would also be really fun to play an Ivy team, maybe Princeton if Tyler's up for it. I think that would be a really close matchup.
I was wondering if you would drag that into it. I like that. So second part, which player from another team or that has already graduated do you model yourself after?
Sure. So as Delaney mentioned earlier, we had a big senior class last year, and there were a lot of different personalities, but really what we model ourselves after as a team, and what I like to model myself after, is the best of what they were able to give us last year, whether it's being a leader on the court, a leader off the court, helping out a teammate if they're struggling with a class, or, being a high energy player on the court, and just doing whatever we can to be the best player for our teammates.
And the final part of the question, which team in the Patriot League is your biggest rival and why?
I think Loyola and Colgate are some of our rivals. We always play them really competitively. They're really close matchups, and we're going to be able to close out our season this year playing Colgate. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, awesome. We appreciate the answers to all of those questions and your time today. And Angela, we wish you the best of luck this season. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. And our final guest today is Kelsey, and she's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Welcome to the show, Kelsey.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome, Kelsey. Great to see you. We're going to jump right into a reflection of last year, but mostly just talk about the things that you took away from your first collegiate season and your first year at Bucknell.
Last year with my first season, I think it was super important having the people and the teammates that I had around me. Everyone that was there on the team last year made me, as well as the other 5 other freshmen, feel super welcomed and made it a super smooth transition. And honestly, the little things like traveling and going to the campuses that we went to and going to the schools that we play, all those little things really made last year so much fun. And it's such a special thing to reflect on last year. And those little things made it really all that fun. So
it kind of segues into my question as well, Kelsey. And obviously we've talked about the great season you did have last year. You were actually named the Patriot League's Rookie of the Week a half a dozen times during the year, which is quite an accomplishment. What are your expectations for yourself for this year? And maybe who are some of your teammates that Bison fans should be keeping an eye on?
So especially with this year and again, to be repetitive, everything that's going on right now, I think it's super important for all of us. We've talked about just taking the opportunities that we have, and like Angela said, really going all in on everything, just because we don't know when our last practice is going to be until it's canceled for another 4 weeks, or we don't know if we'll play one weekend or the next. So again, this year has just taught everyone to really pivot and be on the fly with everything and be flexible. So I think just as a team, I think we're expecting just to go all in on everything and the opportunities that we do have and practice playing, because every opportunity is an opportunity to get better. As far as teammates, everyone's all in, everyone's ready. I think, like Angela said, we have a really good freshman class this year that's brought a new energy to the group. And it's been really fun getting to know them. And with the juniors and seniors with Delaney and Anna, they bring an experience and that no one else has. They've seen it all, and they have definitely taken what they've learned from their last 3 years and been able to communicate with that with us. And we're just learning from each other, I think. So as far as one particular teammate, I think you got to look at the whole group of everyone, because we all collectively bring something different, which is what makes it special. So
You guys are all too good at teammates to each other. I like it. I like it.
Well, so I have a question, and we can't leave out the Midwest, as we've already gotten our question from the Southwest and Southeast. So here, this is from Peggy in Illinois, and she says, "This is a season like no other, one you will never forget. What are your thoughts on the importance of having a volleyball season?"
Yeah. Volleyball at the end of the day, it's a game and it's fun. We all didn't pick up volleyballs 10, 11 years ago and say, I'm going to use this game and go to college and play. We played it because it was fun. So I think that having a volleyball season is super important. We came here to play volleyball, and we came here to go to school. And that's obviously has been a big part of all of our lives for as long as we can remember. Obviously only being here my second year, but Delaney and Angela having 2-3 more years. So I think that it's really important for us to play just because that's kind of like the normalcy that we know in college. It has been difficult not playing and not practicing and everything, but I think collectively we've done a good job of keeping each other grounded and being able to be there for each other when we need someone. But yeah, I think it's super important, just because I said, like, volleyball is a game and it's fun, and the opportunity to compete and the opportunity to practice, all of those things. I think 2 years ago, last year, when we looked at practice, it was just obviously practice always fun, but we kind of looked at it as something like, okay, this is going to happen every day. It wasn't, no one expected something like practice or drills or whatever to be cut off. So I think when we do have that opportunity again to be in the gym consistently and compete consistently, I think it'll be shown through our energy and the way we play. So
You touched base a little bit about this already, and that's the leadership from your seniors on the team. It's always important to have strong leadership. Tell us about the leadership style of your two seniors and what they bring to the team and how they keep you guys together as a unit.
yeah, Delaney and Anna are the best two seniors ever. I think that, like Delaney said, I think I can really see how like Delaney mentioned, how last year with the 6 seniors, there was all a bunch of different personalities and different leadership styles from them. And I think that Delaney and Anna really have done a good job thus far of learning from how they experienced those seniors last year and how Delaney and Anna are always on the same page as far as what they're communicating about, whether it's like small things like the shirts to wear for practice or the times to be on the line to be ready. Those little things are super important in the grand scheme of things, but I think they're a calming presence, and I think that they really have the best of both worlds. Just the two of them, and the fact that it is the two of them, I think it makes it that much more special. How much they've accomplished over their 4 years that they're here, and they're here to they've been here till the end. So we're really fortunate as a team of probably there's 11 underclassmen. So I think that we're really fortunate to have Delaney and Anna as our seniors, because they have a lot of experience, and they've really learned and grown from their leaders that they've had in the past.
And I'm sure with a brand new head coach, it's been that much more important to have leadership from the two of them. So great
Yes.
you just made. Well, Kelsey, thank you again for taking the time out today. And we wish you and all of your teammates the best of luck this season. We hope you're on that court playing real soon. And thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
All right, folks. So that's just about going to wrap up today's show. We thank Jeffrey Campbell, Ben Blumenthal, and Jess O'Shaughnessy for all their assistance with today's event. Our next event in our season preview series, sponsored by Giant, will be tomorrow, Tuesday, February 23rd at noon, and it will feature the men's soccer program. As a reminder, you can find a complete schedule of all of our preview shows on our website. Good afternoon, everyone, and go Bison.